Our next guest today is Mr. Mallanna Sasalu, CEO of Provident Housing Limited, a leading real estate developer. You know, they're looking at not just for solutions, but they're also committed to creating environmentally sustainable homes by integrating green building practices, energy-efficient designs, and eco-friendly materials. Thank you so much, Mr. Sasalu, for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us. You know, the first thing, I think housing, when we look at real estate, housing, it's a very critical aspect of each one of our lives. Going back to achieving net zero emissions by 2070, it's not, we cannot think of achieving it the way we are going now. We need this radical transformation. What really do you think is the way forward?
I think, you know, by 2070, that, you know, the targets that what we have set up, I don't think it's such a difficult situation that we are in, but a couple of things that I want to bring it to your notice. That's 2070 is around 45 years from now. If you look at India as a country 45 years back, in 1980 we were talking about roti kapda or makan. We've come a long way since then, right? So, but the only challenge that today we have is that, you know, 70% of the country is yet to be built, which means that while building anything, you know, anything, that there will be a little bit of environmental damage that happens. So while all other developed nations had the advantage of utilizing the resources fully and growing, and we have the challenge of making sure that we are sustainable while we are growing. The question here is that whenever we want to say that sustainably we want to grow, then as a society we need to have the ability to pay for that. For example, tomorrow we want to become sustainable, which that, you know, for the last 100 years, ever since probably that we came up with the steam engine development over the 100 years back, that whatever that we have used in the 100 years, that which cannot be set right immediately. For example, if India takes a call saying that we're going to shut down all our coal-fired energy developments, then who's going to pay for the other way out for this thing? The society has to develop that kind of capability to do that. So any of these innovations or any of the steps that we take must be economically viable for the society. As far as real estate is concerned, real estate infrastructure and construction, totally put together, we produce around 25 to 30% of the greenhouse gas emission comes out of these three industries. So what do we do about it? So there are only two ways that we can look at it. One is how do we optimize the usage of the resources so that we can reduce the greenhouse gas emission. And the other side is about how do we take actions which can offset if you're unable to do it. So for example, if you're looking at developing somewhere around 50 acres of development, it's very important. Today, India needs housing. We cannot run away from that. We need infrastructure. We cannot run away from that, right? We need to construct. So we cannot run away from that. So offsetting, the first one is about while utilizing the resources, how do we utilize it in a sustainable way? So what is in all three areas? It's cement and steel. Cement and steel are definitely polluting industries. It cannot be offset, and that means that at the product level, there requires a little bit more intervention, innovation, and maybe inventions that may be required. Today, you know, cement is, what is cement? Cement is taking the lime and then burning it and making it to cement, right? So that's the cheapest form. Is there something that we can go further and say, can we replace cement? Can we replace steel? So that's one of the ways and means of doing the things. And the second thing is, if we are going to develop some 20 acres of land somewhere and the environmental damage is done, can it be offset somewhere else? Which means that can we go and develop a forest of 20 acres? But when we develop that 20 or 40 acres of development, who's going to pay for it? Is the society ready for the development? I think in the next 45 years, and we're going to answer those questions.
I think innovation and offsetting, what you said, which obviously takes us to the circular economy, which is really key. I think you've already told us about the principle, right? Reducing waste when we're looking at that, and also maximizing resources. You know, just moving forward, I wanted to ask you the pressure we place on natural resources. We have been talking about that through the day. Your operations are in Bangalore, you know, which is a water deficient state. Tell us a little bit about that. How should real estate developers approach these resource shortages, and how do they really work around this space, because that really is critical?
Yeah, so there is I think it's a misnomer that, you know, Bangalore is water deficient and the resource is not there. In fact, it's the other way around. You know, in fact, today we are looking at what is abundant, we are looking at it as a deficiency. We don't have a water problem in Bangalore. The problem that what we have is water management problem. In Bangalore, if you look at 100 years of rainwater data, that actually in the last, we used to get around 800 millimeters of water every year, and now we have reached around 1,100 millimeters of water every year that we are getting. That's one of the things. Second thing is that 50 kilometers south of Bangalore, you have a Kaveri river that is running. And then we get so much of water, the 100 days in a year that we get rains. And it's all about replenishing the water that is there in the groundwaters. That means that the water recharging system and other things that what we have right now. And I think, with those measures that we can definitely reverse that. We have around 200 lakes in Bangalore, in the Bangalore metropolitan region, that the rejuvenation of those lakes for the purpose of water, drinking water and usage of those water. There are many ways to take care of the resources, and proper allocation and planning, we should be able to take care of that.
I think that's a very critical point, what you mentioned about water management, renewing lakes, things which are doable, and if the intent is there, you can really see that it's making a difference.
Absolutely. See, if you're looking at in housing development, that water is circulated, recycled in the sense that all the water that is utilized is treated and is again put it back for the flushing purpose, put it back for the purpose of landscape development, landscape maintenance, and then whatever the additional water that is left over goes back to the construction. So you can see that the water is fully utilized.
Yes.
And also because of which what happens is that, like for example, that the Indian code says that around 75 liters to 150 liters per person per day is the utilization of water. And we are almost come to a stage wherein only 30% of the water is required for replenishing the water every day. The rest is everything is recycled.
Great. The next question what I want to ask you is, there was earlier this year a consumer survey that showed that the Indian customer actually now views climate change, the whole threat. It's about 60% of them actually want to change their behavior. We can see that behavior change happening. They are choosing sustainable products. One is more mindful. In this, when I ask you your experience, if you can tell us, is it the same when it comes to the real estate? Are you see the change happening? Are people responding to that in the real estate sector?
Absolutely. So that is one of the things that, we at Provident Housing that we have done, that you go to any of our marketing office, there is a wall called sustainability wall. In the sustainability wall, we would have mentioned that the actions that what we have taken and what is the savings that each unit owner is going to make it. Please understand this one. One is, as a real estate developer, today what we develop is going to live for next 35, 40, 50 years. The actions that we take is, we will have a multiplier effect over the number of years. Coming back to the question whether people are definitely interested to understand what is the sustainability, how I can be responsible, and what kind of infrastructure has been placed in the residential development for people to utilize that and be part of that saving. So are they today paying for it, saying that, no, I want to go to a sustainable house, so I'm going to pay something extra? Maybe not, and those days are not too far away. See, we at Provident Housing, that we are part of the listed company, but Provident Housing is not a listed company. And the previous panelists were talking about the ESG report. Even though we are an unlisted company, we are putting together an ESG report, putting out an ESG report every year, environment, social, and governance. We are putting it out every year, making sure that we are all environmentally aware and taking actions. Not only that, and I think every change comes at home. So as a company, what we have done is that every employee's key result area, KRA, will have a sustainability effect. I'll just give you one simple example. Our administrative person came back and said that we use 1 lakh bottles of water, which is half a liter bottle, every year. Around 300, 350 bottles, we used it daily, 1 lakh. He said if we are able to remove the plastic water bottle and bring back the glass water bottles and this thing, so that is an impact, and that is recorded, and that is his KRA, and that is how he contributes. So this is how we have been able to come up with, as an organization, sustainability should become a culture of the organization. And
absolutely, and I think each one need to take responsibility for that. Just a last question, Mallanna, talking about innovations and technology, you were speaking about that. When we look at the real estate sector, where are we on that? What changes can that, innovation and technology bring?
So, innovation, I think, there's quite a bit of innovation in every aspect of our development is required, including in the policy making and the engineering that what we do, and also at the material level what we use. Three areas that we can look at. For example, what we are looking at is energy. In residential development, we are developing, one of the largest projects that we are developing is 6,000 units. In 6,000 units, what should stop a developer to go and actually put a renewable energy plant for solar or a wind somewhere geographically, somewhere in Bangalore, and should be able to put that onto the grid and should be able to distribute it to those 6,000 people. But the law does not allow us to do that because we do not have the distribution license for that. So this innovation in policies and other things is first is required. The second part would be innovation in the material usage. For example, engineered materials like engineered wood, wooden doors and other things, which are all manufactured in controlled environment where that it is controlled in such a way that the energy efficiency and other things are there. So yeah, so there are many ways, and I think, and the invention side could be in the material side, and where polluting materials are replaced by non-polluting materials. And I think that should be the way.
And that can make a huge difference, yeah. It's really been a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Abhika. Thank you very much.
It's time now for our next sustainability champion. He's the ambassador for Plastic Free Delhi. He's also a marathoner. And if you combine the two, he is India's plogging ambassador. Meet Ripudaman Bevli, athlete, activist, socialpreneur, and friend of the planet. Ripudaman, please come on stage.
I have a question to ask all of you. What is the word of the year? Anybody knows? Oxford word of the year? Nobody knows? Have you heard of Riz? Riz, what does that mean? Charisma. Okay. You know, today's topic of the entire conclave is sustainability, right? According to me, or let's just ask, what's the most used and abused word of the year? Because what does sustainability mean? Oh, I'm going to move or remove all my plastic containers in the kitchen, all Tupperware, everything goes away, and I switch to glass containers and steel containers. All my plastic cups and plastic straws, I'll remove that from the market to paper cups and paper straws. That's sustainability for us. Okay, so my topic says real talk, so I'm going to try to make it as real as possible for everybody. Let's move. So I started a movement called the Litter Free India movement 8 years ago, inspired by visuals like these. Nature's view of us and our view of the nature. What do you think you prefer? Which view do you prefer? Can I hear everybody say what view do you prefer? Our view of nature, right? That's what I prefer, that's what I want. But you know, if we have to get that view of nature, then we will have to work towards it. We will have to sacrifice a lot of things. We cannot be at status quo, जैसे आज life चल रही है, जैसे आज ज़िंदगी चल रही है, ऐसे नहीं चलने वाला. अगर ऐसे चलेगा, तो यही वाला view मिलेगा, और कुछ सालों में ये वाला view भी नहीं मिलेगा. This is what I've been doing for the last 8 years. I always say this, as I have this crazy dream of making India litter free, and I'm on a mission to make that dream a reality. 2016, I'm a runner. I run marathons, 42.195 kilometers. So that's my distance I run. So when I run and train in the mornings, लोग कम होते हैं, traffic नहीं होता है, तो सुबह जो मेरे को सबसे ज़्यादा दिखता था, वो था कूड़ा, trash and plastic. अब मैंने कुछ लोगों से बात की, लोगों को clean up के लिए बुलाया, कोई नहीं आया. But fitness और running sessions के लिए 100 लोग turn up हो जाते थे यार. So that was my cue to combine fitness to fight the garbage crisis in the country, because we were all runners. We ran and started picking up litter. Very, very quickly, it became a very cool term. It became from Sweden, like it's called plogging. We were just doing it as a bunch of runners here. तो तब से लेकर आज तक तकरीबन 700 से ज़्यादा cleanup drives हमने organize किए हैं across 110 odd cities. Moving to the campaigns. इस साल one of the biggest incidents that had happened was the Pran Pratishtha ceremony at Ayodhya. तो उससे पहले, अगर आप गए होंगे उस टाइम पे अयोध्या, तो उससे पहले हमने 2 दिन का एक क्लीन अप ड्राइव ऑर्गेनाइज किया था अयोध्या में, जहाँ पे हमने अयोध्या घाटों की मिलके यूपी गवर्नमेंट के साथ और कॉलेज और स्कूल स्टूडेंट्स के साथ मिलके वहाँ पे घाटों की सफाई की थी, ताकि जब लोग आएँ, जब श्रद्धालु आएँ, तो उन्हें वो जगह साफ दिखे, राम राज्य दिखे एक्चुअली. Let's talk about the last campaign, Run to Make India Litter Free, my most ambitious campaign till date. NDTV was my partner. This was 2019. I ran across 50 cities in 50 days, cleaning up 1,000 kilometers on foot. मतलब रोज एक हाफ मैराथन हमने एक शहर में भागा, सिर्फ भागा नहीं, एक्चुअली कचरा उठाया वहाँ के लोकल्स के साथ मिलके. और उस कैंपेन के 3rd वीक में मुझे ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर का कॉल आया और उन्होंने बोला कि ये सिर्फ आप अकेले क्यों कर रहे हो, पूरा देश आपके साथ करेगा. एंड द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया adopted our mission, making it the first such citizen-led movement which is adopted by government of India, and more than 1 crore Indians have participated. Let's talk about plastic now. Plastic when invented was invented in 1907 first time, but 50-60 years ago जब plastic का mainstream में use आया, it was considered the biggest invention, the greatest gift to humanity in the 20th century. 50 साल में from the greatest invention to the greatest travesty कैसे बन गया? डिज़ाइन फ्लॉ है, सर्कुलर नहीं है, जो कि हर एक ह्यूमन इन्वेंशन लिटरली डिज़ाइन फ्लॉ के साथ आती है कि सर्कुलर नहीं होता. सो प्लास्टिक फ्रॉम द ग्रेटेस्ट इन्वेंशन इन 50 years became the greatest travesty. You know what's the most dangerous waste on the planet? Can somebody answer that? Most dangerous waste? Plastic. No, it's the waste that is coming out of your kitchen. आपका food waste, आपका organic waste is actually the most dangerous waste. क्योंकि plastic itself is inert. अगर आप उसको landfill में भी डाल दोगे ना, सिर्फ plastic जाएगा, तो ऐसी कोई major problem नहीं होने वाली. प्रॉब्लम कहाँ होती है? ग्रीन हाउस गैस एमिशंस कहाँ से आते हैं? लीचिंग कहाँ से होती है? वाटर पोल्यूशन, सॉइल पोल्यूशन कहाँ से होता है? जब आपका ऑर्गेनिक कचरा आपके प्लास्टिक और अदर सॉर्ट्स ऑफ ड्राई वेस्ट के साथ मडल अप होता है, देन दिस ऑर्गेनिक वेस्ट which can decompose, which can become black gold, which can go back to nature, is actually rotting, सड़ रहा है वो without the aeration. और वही आपके फिर मीथेन एमिशंस कॉज कर रहा है, वही लीच होके सॉइल और वाटर को कंटामिनेट कर रहा है, एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट इज कमिंग बैक टू बाइट अस. ऑल ऑफ दैट इज इम्पैक्टिंग आवर हेल्थ. सो व्हाट कैन वी डू? वी कैन सेग्रीगेट ड्राई एंड वेट, इतना कर सकते हैं यार, एंड वेट वेस्ट को कंपोज करना स्टार्ट करिए. It will solve a lot of the problem. Like I said, 60 to 70% of all waste from the households come from the wet waste. So if we all start making our own black gold, the compost, we will be able to solve a lot of our crises. So let's move to the part, switching tracks. सबसे important चीज़ है sustainable development की हम बात करते हैं, but हमने establish कर लिया sustainability की बात करने वाले majority of the लोगों को sustainability पता ही नहीं है. बट उसको चेंज कैसे किया जाता है, जा सकता है? पॉलिसी से. यू नो, इंडिया नीड्स डेवलपमेंट. डेवलपमेंट इज समथिंग दैट वी कैनॉट डू विदाउट. इट्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बट उसके साथ अगर वो डेवलपमेंट ऐसे आए कि हम 5-10 साल तो उसका इंजॉयमेंट कर लें, बट उसके बाद जो उसकी कैटास्ट्रफी, जो उसके आफ्टर इफेक्ट्स हैं, from landslides to complete devastation of habitats to flooding, air pollution, so on and so forth, that is killing us. That is killing our quality of life. For all the road projects, for all the rail projects, real estate projects, what do? Cut the trees. वो करना पड़ेगा, वो करना पड़ता है और वो करना पड़ेगा. I am not against that. I am not against development. I am just asking one thing. Take every road project of yours, okay? Then you do an audit on that project before giving an approval, to understand what is going to be my number of trees being cut, what is going to be my damage on the forest, how many forests am I going to mow down, what is going to be the loss of habitat, loss of biodiversity, soil, water, air pollution, and then let's use a metric like carbon emissions of X tons of CO2. I am going to shift this project 3 to 5 years, ideally 5 years, and in those 5 years, now I'm going to build an ecosystem, which means I'm going to plant, if I'm cutting down 1 lakh trees, I'm going to plant 10, 15, 20, 25 lakh trees, 5, 6, 7 feet saplings in the vicinity of this project. over the next year or so that 4-5 साल में ये mid to full size trees होंगे. We will impact the biodiversity positively, वो increase हो जाएगा, habitat increase हो जाएगा, और जो हम damage करने वाले हैं water, air और soil pollution की वजह से, वो भी हमने already offset कर लिया है. Now हमने जितना offset किया है उसको बोलते हैं Y tons of CO2. 5 साल के बाद we are ready to make the project. Now this X CO2 जो है इस project में damage होने वाला है, that has to be less than Y CO2, Y tons of CO2. इतना सा policy change करना है. It might not be the easiest, but you know what, the way we're going right now, that is definitely not sustainable. Let's make environment the #1 agenda. Now this starts with all of us. When we go for grocery shopping, can we, to the local market, instead of going 1 kilometer in our car and burning a lot of fuel, can we not just walk? When we start being mindful, we will make more sustainable choices. We will not switch from Tupperware and plastic jars in our kitchen to glass and steel jars because it's sustainable. No, that's consumerism. So we need to understand what sustainability is, we need to be mindful about it, and we need to make choices accordingly. Then to the manufacturers and brands, you need to identify ways to cut down on your packaging. It's as simple as that. It is not sustainable today at all, and moving from plastic packaging to paper packaging, that's the worst that you can do. So very important is our policymakers, our government, state and center. And we need to address this problem together. And for that, we have to tell our leaders that this is our #1 agenda. So stop greenwashing, stop the BS, because वो चलता रहता है और वो चलता रहेगा. But we have to somehow stand up and take that step and say, no, this will not do anymore.